Are you happy to
Yeah.
start
Happy to start?
Yeah.
Start with what?
the podcast?
I'm just here to. Oh right. I'm just here to have fun, Ben.
Here to have fun. And welcome to the Mediocre Photography Show. My name's Ben,
And my name's Jack.
and this is a little bit different, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you're not sat next to me.
Yeah, I don't know how. That's going to be really weird if we're on opposite sides. I was trying to work out which way.
Just make it even
It's
funnier.
fine. I'll just flip the mirrors.
No, I have to be on the left. The viewer's left, but you're.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't matter.
it's fine.
Anyway,
I
we're
can
not
flip
in the
it.
same room.
We're not in the same room. This is
Nah.
It's a bit surreal, isn't it? We've had some challenges getting set up, haven't we? Actually, to be honest, I was expecting this. We did a tech test. I was expecting this to be an absolute nightmare. It turns out the biggest challenge has proven getting Jack to log into Skype.
Yeah, because Bill Gates is an idiot.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But we do. Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been all right. And setting up this has been the only thing I've done apart from work, which is it's been a nice change. It's been a nice change to doing just work. But
I mean, to be fair, it's been what? Not that long since we recorded the last one, was it?
I know I'm very surprised that I didn't just drop off the face of the planet. And
I know.
We didn't. You left, and then I thought, okay, well, it's going to be a couple months now. But it's been what, like a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's because I don't have a job, so I'm really, really, really bored at the moment.
Yeah, literally.
I think is basically the reason. So yeah, no, it's been all right. So, you been up to much photography since we last spoke?
What, 2 weeks? No, not really. No, I think I've taken a few photos because what I tend to do is just take the dog for a loop around the village, and then I go back around the village just to see if there is anything to take a photo of. I'll do that, but not really anything. I still haven't developed that roll of film from months back, but I'm sure I'll take that into work, into
My old work.
your old work, sometime.
You could just post it to me and do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's
done
probably-
some photography.
Oh, right.
Photography, yeah. I did a project, a very small project. It was just a roll of 35mm, which was titled "A Tree Fell Down in My Back Garden and I Photographed It Before My Next Door Neighbour Chopped It Up."
Oh.
And yeah, I got the negatives. I've scanned them sort of initially, but you know.
So when's
Maybe
when's it being published by
Well-
another place? You're gonna send it to Ian.
I might send it to Ian. Well, actually, maybe if
Make it a little
the
zine. You
audience
should
is
make it a
very
little
lucky,
zine.
there might be a photo of it right now.
Amazing. Wow, that looks amazing, Ben.
I'm absolutely going to forget to put that in, aren't I?
Yeah, it's just gonna be we're both gonna be there like, wow, that's so beautiful. I see the light, and that is beautiful lighting, and the content is just, it's really interesting.
It's really interesting.
I can't wait to see what comes next.
But yeah, so I don't know. Well, I might make that into a little zine. I might
Yeah.
put it over to Southwest. You never know.
Yeah. Now you're
Let's
not
see
in the
what happens.
Southwest, but
Now that I'm not in the Southwest,
traitor.
I know. Back home in Cambridge now.
Mm.
But yeah, it's been alright. I mean, apart from that, it's just been moving house, hasn't it? It's sort of that all-consuming thing that you have to do for the next few weeks, and just as much as you try and think that everything's done, there's like more.
There's one or
odd
two
jobs.
things, yeah.
And so you procrastinate and record a podcast instead.
Instead, yep. So you've still got boxing.
Not really. It's more like just sorting out the room and stuff like that now. Like,
Right.
yes, getting the.
Because obviously it's been like 3 years since you actually
been
lived in that
permanently
room.
at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to do a couple of trips up to IKEA just to get odds and sods for bits that I, needed, because I've sort of rearranged all the furniture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as I was saying, I've got so many books just of stuff
over the last 3 years,
over the last 3 years that I've just acquired, and yeah, like I just can't deal with it. But the other thing
it's become an addiction.
it has become a little bit of an addiction. But the other thing is that I got an email through from, you don't know this. This is the first time you're hearing of this as well. Got an email through from my old lecturer day before, asking if I wanted to come to a symposium down in Plymouth.
A
symposium, series of lectures.
Orchestra? Oh, right. It just sounds more like an orchestral
It does
thing.
sound. I think you might be thinking of a symphony.
Oh, right. Close enough.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I've been invited to go down to that, and it's it's sort of on like land and water and that kind of environmentally stuff that I'm interested in. But she turns around, she goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, it would be really useful if you read these 3 books before you came." And I'm like,
Right.
well, it's a good thing that I've got loads of time off. But I'm just sat there thinking, it's like, oh, that's another
giving me homework, and I'm not even at uni.
It's not even that. Like I'd happily read them. Like they seem like quite interesting books on quite interesting topics. But the problem that I've got at the moment is, oh, for sake, that's another thing that I need to like keep now.
Yeah, get.
It's just yeah. And because I don't obviously have access to the Plymouth Library anymore, I can't just pop in and grab them. So I could get my mate to do it, I suppose. We'll see. Anyway.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we.
No, we're not. I had such a hassle and such a fight with them when I went in, but that's a different story and not for a podcast.
No.
What are we talking about today then, Jack? After our little introduction there.
You introduce it because I've forgotten.
We are talking about something that's a little bit more techie and a little bit sort of left field for us, I guess. But it's actually about...
Definitely left field.
It's definitely left field for you. But it's when we went in and initially spoke about this podcast, we sort of said that we would try and avoid talking about this kind of thing. But I think it's quite an interesting thing, and it links into photography and fine art photography quite well.
Yeah.
And the topic, without further ado, is how does having a decent camera make a difference to your photography? And yeah, I think that it's quite an interesting thing to unpack because we can take this in a lot of different directions. We've both shot projects variously on not decent cameras.
A range of them, yeah.
And, I am currently, out the corner of my Skype can see a £1,200 camera lens that Jack is currently using to record his podcast on. And I'm looking into a £2,000 camera body and system as well. But,
But the funny thing, do we shoot with these cameras?
No.
Do you shoot with yours? Because I don't really shoot with my
honestly, I haven't
most expensive camera.
I haven't used mine in anger in about 3 months. I think the last time I used it would have been my final project last year for my degree.
Yeah.
I sort of went... Normally I shoot on film, and I shot the last one on digital just because time was a thing that I didn't have.
Didn't you? You started the project on that, the film camera there.
Started it on large format, I think.
Yeah.
And then because work was ramping up, and sort of I was thinking post degree and thinking, right, I could stick at work for a year, but that means that I have to sort of focus on it. I was like, it's a bit annoying, but I sort of had to turn around and be like, right, more time working, less time degreeing, and obviously still wanting to do as best I possibly could. I thought, honestly, if I shot on digital, then it significantly reduces the amount of time that I have to spend dicking about with developing and scanning and editing and stuff like that, and I can just focus on the end result. So there you are. But I think the digital versus film topic is a one for a different day, because
it's huge.
Yeah, it's a big topic, and I'm quite interested to play devil's advocate with you on that one. But yeah, well, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say we don't need to say any more because we will end up just talking about it.
Yeah. So I think that we should probably start with a little history lesson about this then. Do you remember? Cast your mind back, and I think we learnt about her in first year.
Oh, blooming hell.
Julia Margaret Cameron?
Yeah.
You remember her?
Portrait? Yeah.
Do you want to give the...
Do I know things? I know what... See, this is the thing. I remember photographers from, like, what I remember, like, of their pictures. I don't remember anything about her.
What do you remember of her pictures, then?
They were portraits, female, mainly female. They were, like, old, obviously, but they were close up, actually, some far away. But they had the vignette around them. I'm just describing what they were. You could always just put up a picture of it. You can get in contact with Julia Margaret Cameron.
Yeah, I'll definitely ask her and see what I can do. I think they must be out of copyright now. I'll look into it. If there is going to be a photo of Julia Margaret Cameron up, I'm going to put it here.
See, it's just exactly how I said it would be. No,
So good old Julia was quite a renowned portrait photographer back in the olden days. She was shooting on wet plates, and the thing that was very important in her work was that, as far as a technical quality is concerned, they were absolutely awful. Absolutely terrible photos. Fingerprints in the collodion, dust marks, the collodion wasn't spread evenly. The photos, and it's not even the preparation of the plate, the photos, as far as the photos were concerned, were often horrifically overexposed, or, they had huge technical errors within them. But she's still regarded as one of the most prolific and key portrait photographers ever, because of the work that she did. And she links quite a lot into the snapshot photograph and bits and pieces like that, but I don't think we should really sort of go off on that particular tangent just yet. But
what do you reckon? Do you reckon going on the she's sort of was she one of the first then? Because if that's the case, then you can sort of overlook the technical bits, because she was one of the first.
She wasn't one of the first photographers.
No, okay.
She was. I don't entirely know when she was working. Actually, let me just do a quick Goog.
I'm gonna say 1857.
No, later.
That is
that.
my
18,
later.
Yeah. I would say 1890s. Julia Margaret Cameron. Oh.
Here we go.
You are absolutely right.
Spot. Yes. I do know things about photography.
Famous works sort of between 1864 and 1874.
Oh, okay.
But, considering that the advent of photography was more round in the, 1830s or so, sort of, that was when De Geer was doing his jazz. She wasn't a pioneer technical photographer in that kind of sense, but
So there were people that did it technically better before her?
Oh, yeah. But what was interesting with that was that she led photography to be her into its own sphere, as you were. Before then, photography, and it still often is, but photography is likened to fine art. And it was likened to this pictorial, this is how it is, this is how it's captured. And that was the difference between photography and art, was that art, you could have this sort of impressionism and this, you could have your own opinion put into the piece, as it were.
It could be a little bit more abstract.
Yeah, exactly. The caricature is the perfect example. If I had a caricature drawn of me, then I would have like massive, great big glasses and stuff like that. And, and with you, you'd be like 20 feet tall. And,
Tall, yeah.
But then photography traditionally was on the opposite of that. It saw you how you were. If you're a fat in your photo, you're going to be a fat in real life as well.
Going to be 6 foot. You're going to be 6 foot, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so Cameron, I think, definitely brought photography into a new kind of light.
You blurred the lines.
Blurred the lines, exactly. And yeah, I think that was what was quite key about her work. And they are beautiful photos, but you listeners weren't here for a history lesson. I think we should.
You could just Google the history of photography.
Yeah. I've got about 20 books on the history of photography.
Talking about having too many books.
So I think that we should talk about ourselves a little bit more. And before we go, sorry, just waking my computer up. Before we go any further, we should talk about quite famous within the course, the camera that you shot a lot of your projects on. The Minolta Dynax.
Or the Hoover.
The Hoover.
Because it sounds like Dyson or sounds like a Hoover.
It sounds like a Hoover, and also when it rewinds, it sounds like a Hoover.
It sounds like a Hoover.
Do you have it to hand, by the way? We should have thought about this before.
I can grab it if I don't knock anything.
All right. Try not to knock anything.
Oh my word. Don't want to move.
So now that we're all alone, audience, it's time. Oh, he's back. Okay, never mind.
I'm really glad I have a swivel chair because then I don't lose my focus point. There you go. It's a bit of a chunk.
The chunky boy.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah.
As you can see, a bit of gold duct tape because it was actually letting. I think there was like a hole in it. See, that's also a bit of a shame as well. I don't know whether they'd be able to see that, but that is dust over the top of it. It just shows how little I've used it. But no, it was my dad's, and I used it for the last project in the second year, and only because I wanted to try film, and didn't have the money to actually get a film, so I used it, but it had like a gaping hole in the grip, and so I taped it down with gold tape. It's sort of become a bit of a joke, really.
But I'm curious that you could have turned around and you could have borrowed a camera off, anyone on the course. You could have borrowed a camera off the faculty as well. Why did you decide to use that one as opposed to getting one that you wouldn't have had to pay for, which would have been significantly better?
I don't know. I think it was sort of the I don't know what the word is. It was because the project I was doing it about was about fatherhood, and it was about my dad's dad. I think there was sort of like a sort of intimacy with using my dad's camera. So sort of like it wasn't a technical reason. It was more of the project. It sounded better.
So it was almost sentiment.
It definitely wasn't a technical. Yes, that's the one. Sentimental. Yeah. That's the word. But it wasn't technical at all because the pictures were all right. Obviously, it's a 35mm camera. You can't blow them up to the size of a house, but
yeah.
But it took all right pictures, and I'll probably take it. I'll probably take it on holiday this year when we go away. More film photos, but it weighs a ton. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, it definitely wasn't technical. It really wasn't.
That's That's fair enough. I mean, this is the thing that we sort of need to debunk, that whole technicality side of things, don't we? That what is it? The best camera you have is the one you have on you. Is the age-old saying?
Who said that?
Oh, I did.
Was that a quote you just made up?
I came up with
that's
that
very
right
good.
Now. Yeah, never heard of that
that's
one before.
Very good.
No, that's
I reckon you should put that on your wall.
Before.
Was it? Is it genuinely?
No, of course it's not.
Who said that then?
I can't remember.
That's actually.
I have a funny feeling it may have been Bresson, but don't quote me on that.
It sounds like a Bresson thing.
It sounds like a Bresson quote, yeah. Along with
living in the moment, sort of.
Along with the very famous thing that he sent back to Kodak. Did I ever tell you about that?
What's that?
So Kodak, this was back in the 1930s when Kodak were developing color film, and obviously Bresson was like the big thing in photography back then, and so Kodak sent him 100 rolls.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Bresson sent 99 back with a note that just said color is bullshit. Anyway,
And what about the last roll?
he shot it and decided that it was bullshit.
Colour was bullshit.
But good old Bresson. But yeah, you know, going on to that, you know, the best camera that you have is the one you have on you. There's been a lot of interesting projects that have come out recently, which have been talking about, which have been taken on smartphones, and I think that that's a really, really, really interesting topic to talk about with the fine art photography, as smartphones, as well as the renaissance of the disposable camera, is a really interesting thing to talk about at the moment. I mean, if you look at the disposables, you know, as the audience probably have guessed, I used to work at a print shop or a camera shop, and we did prints as well. And our film prices, not our film prices, but the amount of film that we developed rose by something like 350% last year.
Jeez.
Like an absolute.
Is that all? That's right. Yeah.
All from disposable cameras, you know.
Oh,
And we would have regular customers coming in once a week, and what they would do is
With
they'd go on a
disposable
night
cameras?
out. They would
Take a disposable
camera, shoot it, develop it.
Yeah.
We would not even print the photos out. We would actually digitize them and then send them to them digitally, and then they would do whatever with them, put them up on Insta or whatever they're doing with it. So yeah, hang on, I'm going offline, audience.
Okay.
I'm back. See how much easier that is with a remote. Oh, I love it. This setup is actually proving a little bit more beneficial for me. Like, this is easier for me to work with. I just need to kick my dad out of his office.
That's because you're only doing one person. You're doing your own thing,
Yeah,
and then I'm here like. What do I?
But yeah, so
yeah, we did that for our work do. We each had like a disposable camera on our table, and then you'd just like burn through like 30 photos of obviously people drinking and dancing and having all sorts of fun at a work do, and then they just sort of like they put them on a PowerPoint.
Do you have any
outside the work office?
Do you have any opinions?
It's very good
on disposable cameras, and it's just sort of like this disposableness being brought back into the world.
I like the photos, really.
You like the photos?
I like the colours. I like the colours of them, and that's why I started using film, was for the colours.
Yeah.
But the disposableness of them, I don't know. I'd rather have like a point and shoot that I could reuse and just switch the film in and out. And I know that's the sort of same thing, but I don't. Yeah. I do like them, but they remind me a lot of Martin Parr, which obviously is a great thing to be reminded of.
What makes you say that?
Well, it's the sort of in your face lighting, the flash lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very similar stylistic approach, isn't it?
Like my dad, we were at another party, like a family affair, and my dad, who he's got his own camera, but it's like a mini, not even anything, but he took round a disposable camera, and he took a few photos, and I was genuinely there like, you could show that to a photography student and they'd be there like, oh, that's Martin Parr's work. I was there like, my dad was there like, oh, does that mean I can, be a photographer? I was there like, oh, you got to pay a few £1,000 first.
Get the degree, get the letters. Speaking of cameras, are you still recording, my dude? Because it's been
I'll double
half
check.
an hour.
Blooming hell, this setup. Doing my nutting.
So just so the audience can see, this is going to look very meta right now. This is what I can currently see. It's just a little app on my phone, right? See that there's you. There's my recording spikes afterwards. Jack is down there. You might be able to have seen that. And yeah, it's just so much easier than. Oh, hi there, pal.
No,
Sorry.
I wasn't recording.
You weren't recording.
Huh?
Okay. I was just,
I wasn't
explaining to
recording,
the audience
I've just
how
restarted it.
my setup is significantly easier than yours.
Oh, I've just moved. I see. Yeah, I've just moved my. Oh, I can find the holes in the floor. There you go. There you go. I think that I might be in focus. I might not.
Yeah.
Who gives?
You can tell who's the more technical between us, can't you?
But it's also, it's not about the camera, Ben. It's about the content.
The content. Well, this is my sort of thought with the film cameras and bits and pieces like that. First of all, I hate the consumerism of them. That how a film camera is made up is you have the film, obviously, and if film has silver and silver has to be mined from the ground, but it would be hypocritical if I turned around and went bad, naughty, because the amount of film that I've shot over the last
it's
3
ridiculous.
years, I can't really complain about that too much.
No.
But the problem is that those disposable cameras in a lot of places aren't actually recycled. And in those disposable cameras, you've got a massive fuck off great big battery and a massive fuck off great big capacitor. And those heavy metals end up 9 times out of 10 going back into landfill. And last that I left, and there's probably more of them since then, we had 4 or 5 industrial bin bags full of disposable cameras sat downstairs because we didn't want to throw them out because obviously those heavy metals will go back to landfill, but then also we didn't know what to do with them. And
what can you do with them?
Well, certain manufacturers do have a recycling scheme for them.
Yeah.
So effectively they strip them of the parts and then they reuse them. But the problem is that because of the company that I worked with being the middleman, it wasn't something that we could implement at a store level. It would have had to have gone through our head office, and a head office had more important things to be worrying about, apparently. So the level of consumerism is something that I don't particularly like. And the other thing that, and this comes from a much more of a purist opinion as well, but the purist inside me sees these. We get them developed through a machine, we scan them, and then we email them to the customers. And I would say 80% of our film orders were that. Dev scan, digitized. And then 20% the customers would want prints. And then, 19% the customers want prints, and then occasionally would have one that just wants the film and they do whatever they do with it.
With them,
just with the negatives. And again, my kind of opinion for that is... Oh, and also, the next part of this point is that the customers, I would say 60% didn't bother collecting their negatives. So we would digitize them, they would be emailed, and then the customers just wouldn't come in and collect the negatives. We put them down in our archive. After 6 months, we chuck them. And at that point, I think that
really is disposable.
Exactly, it completely is. And again, the customers, as you said, they like the colours, they like the stylistic approach of it. But you, as an informed higher being in photography, keep your negatives, and then you can do other things with that. You store them away. You can I know that you have used the darkroom in the past, so you can go back and use the darkroom. You can rescan them at different resolutions. Different scanners are going to give different results, blah, 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 blah. My issue that I have with the disposable camera mentality is that you can just take photos on your phone and then run them through an app that will make them look like a disposable camera.
Yeah, you've got all these filters nowadays.
That's been something that's been very well known for a long time. That, again, as a member of staff at the camera shop that I used to work at, we generally didn't tell our customers about.
No,
because we were very, very aware that if we did, all of a sudden they wouldn't be buying disposable cameras from us. They wouldn't be developing their disposable cameras with us. They'll be taking photos on their phone and then putting them through this app and then just having it done for them like that as well. So
you could just send them off to be printed somewhere else as well.
Well, again, like I say, the majority of the customers didn't even want them printed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The majority of the customers would just get them digitized and that's it. Which, on another note as well, did you know that photographic paper isn't recyclable when we're talking about consumerism?
I didn't know that.
No, you are. You can't recycle photographic paper. It's to do with the dyes and the emulsions inside it. That it's got nasties, basically. And so, yeah, again, and I don't know because, I don't, but when you have the regular customer that does come in, and they print out their 40 photos, do you reckon all of those go in an album? Do you reckon all of those go in a box for keepsakes?
No chance.
Do you reckon maybe one or two go up on the fridge and the rest get chucked?
Probably.
Exactly. And the thing is, they're either chucked in landfill, or, the customer might do the honest thing and chuck them in recycling, not knowing any better. And then the person in the recycling centre is going to be picking through and go, oh, that's photographic paper. That's going landfill.
Can't go in.
So you can't win.
Yeah.
So there is definitely an element of consumerism. I feel like we've gone off on a massive tangent with this.
We've just gone on to a disposable tangent.
Yeah, a very disposable tangent. Maybe that should be the topic of this episode.
A disposable tangent.
And so, so we're talking about decent cameras and bits and pieces like that. And so the next thing that we talk about...
Which I get, with disposable cameras are cheap as chips.
Yeah, they are.
So they're not... but people use them.
And you get the plastic lenses, and you go from this and that and the other. So, I don't think that we can talk about disposable cameras and decent cameras without mentioning
a phone,
the camera phone, which is something that we touched on and then very quickly got distracted talking about other things. Do you take photos on your phone?
I only take photos on my phone of things that I will retake on my actual cameras.
What about just day-to-day life? Not from a photography point of view, just...
I'll take photos of like family and stuff like that if we're out on the malls or something like that. Because, well, not trying to brag, but my camera's got the best camera in the fam, so we'll always use my camera for...
Mr. Big Camera.
Mr. Big Camera on big phone. We'll always use my phone for like family pics and stuff like that because it is the highest quality. Yeah. And so we'll do stuff like that, but not really for photography purposes, like not genuine photography purposes.
Okay.
I don't think I'd ever consider doing like a project on an iPhone or something like that.
Why not? Just out of curiosity.
It seems a bit like easy, like an easy way out. I feel like if I did it, and this might again be my stupid mentality, but I feel like I'd get absolutely sorted for it because I've done 3 years of learning how to dev film and do all this. And then I just go to use an iPhone. It just seems a bit like an easy way out.
I think it depends on the context of the project. With the style of thing that you're doing, then very much, absolutely.
Films.
Like,
yeah.
Family photos, it doesn't, and kind of archival photography and bits and pieces like that. There's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason for you to be photographing on a phone. What's I think is interesting is that I completely forgot my train of thought. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's completely gone.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What are we talking about? Are we doing a podcast?
Wait,
yes, what? Wait, where am I? I've just been chatting
You're not
shit
in the room.
Wait, are we live? Oh god, it's
Live
completely got my
from
head.
New
Okay,
York,
so
it's Saturday Night Live.
so we talk. Oh yeah, that was it. And I'm just trying to articulate how I want to say it. I think that there is always going to be an element of the camera that you use having a thematic effect on your project, right? For example, with your Minolta Hoover, you wanting to use that camera for a sentimental purpose. It links into the project. The project is part of history. The project is creating a new step in history, and the camera was part of that history as well. It's almost a metaphysical. It links into each other.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about shooting on film for different reasons, but if I wanted to do a project looking at the consumerism of the disposable camera, I would probably shoot it on a disposable camera.
Yeah, and I guess in that case, if you're doing a project about sort of phones nowadays and like socialness, and stuff
absolutely,
like that, then you'd use a phone.
Yeah, the element of the social media and the creation of the internet and blah blah blah. The classic A-level project, as it were.
Or you'd be really ironic and use a film camera.
10.8, smash it up. So
someone using their phone.
Yeah, I think there could always be an element of that, but there have been some great projects which I've looked at in the past. Sorry, I love my headphones; they're great audio quality, but either my ears are really big or the cups are really small, so that they get painful
Really?
after about 40 minutes. I think that there have been some great projects that have come out of being shot on a phone, but from when I've done the research into the work, it didn't seem that they had to be shot on a phone, if that makes sense. There was
didn't realise. Oh right. Oh, they were just shot on a phone for the sake of being shot on a phone.
Yeah, almost.
Or
So one of them, and my God, it is my favourite photo book ever. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, this photo book I would take to a desert island with me. Is called Ashtray Noir, and it's by Katrin Koning and Sarka Poltik. And you'll see some photos coming up on the screen now.
Wow, that looks brilliant.
It really does.
No, I do remember you coming home with that book, and
after I bought it,
and you were and you were absolutely melting over it.
Yeah, because my lecturer borrowed it off her boyfriend, and then brought it in to show me, and her boyfriend. I know my lecturer's boyfriend as well. Like, they were precious about it. Like, my lecturer turned around and was like, "If you're going to handle this, you wear white gloves." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh, damn.
Put the gloves on, and absolutely went ham. And as soon as I saw the book, I was like, I need to buy this and go through it. And I still do. Whenever I'm feeling uninspired, I will go through and still look at the book and have a look. In fact, that's just given me another idea. Sorry.
That's the one with the pictures on the inside of the pages, isn't it? Where the pages. Have you cut it up yet?
No.
No.
I can't bring myself to do it.
Never.
So the pictures.
But when you look at that book, you're about to talk about it. When you look at that book, I didn't realise they were on iPhone or a phone.
No, you wouldn't.
When you first showed me,
that's the way that it's
just told
printed.
me that.
So for the audience, I'll explain a couple of things. First of all, it's printed on what's called a CMYKW printer. So what that means is that the printer doesn't just print in the cyan, the magenta, and the yellow, and the black that you would normally, but it also prints on white. So that means that the paper is actually black sugar paper, and then the photos are printed on white ink, which just looks incredible. But what Jack means about the photos being on the inside is that the way that the book is folded is this is a page, if the audience can see that. Sorry, that's quite out of focus. And then there's actually photos on the inside, so you have to pull the page open like that in order to see the photos on the inside. So it's really just absolutely incredible book. It's really
clever. It's really quite clever.
And yeah, if anyone has the chance, the Photographers Gallery in London sell it. Like, just go and buy all
Or just
of them.
Google it. Surely Google it.
Oh
Can
no,
you Google
it
it?
doesn't have the same. You can Google it, but it doesn't have the same. Like the photos. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna
Oh
put
no, I
another
mean
one up there.
just
There's another photo
just
up on the screen
does,
now.
is it
But
not Amazon or something? Amazonable?
you could Amazonable it. I don't
But it's a
actually know.
photographer's
Like I said,
gallery,
I bought
so
mine
go
at the
there.
Photographer's Gallery. I went to the Photographer's Gallery because I had some time to kill in London, and sort of said to myself, oh, you know what? If the book is there, I'm going to buy the book. And then the first thing that I see when I walk downstairs into their little bookshop was it, and I was just there like,
Yeah, so
and
it's
stop.
because you had tunnel vision. You were only looking
Yeah,
for that
literally, I
book.
was only
You
looking
didn't
for
see
that
anything
book.
else.
I spent about £100 on film that day as well. God, it's a dangerous place, is the Photographer's Gallery. But yeah, and so there's no discernible rhyme or reason for why that book was shot on an iPhone, but it was. And I think that's quite an interesting way in the approach of where photography is going, that you are going to see more and more projects like that. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. That phones these days have the same quality, well, not the same quality, but they have the same control that you have over a camera. That you can change your aperture, change your shutter speed, change your eyes. So, admittedly, the depth of field is still a a fake depth of field. It's not a real depth of field, but it has the same results.
Yeah, because you've got all these like phones trying portrait mode and stuff like that that still like mess up, don't they?
But and apart from the quality side of things, which admittedly the phones are never going to be as good at because sensor size and physics is a thing. Until we get light-filled cameras, but they're a way off yet. Again, I can happily print because I got a Huawei, so I got a pretty decent camera phone as well. I can happily print A3 off my Huawei and have done, and the results are fine. For me, I can see a difference, and I'm sure that you would be able to see a difference as well. But for the untrained eye, again, hi mum, I don't think she would.
Savage. No.
The only thing that I can think of that would be a cause for an issue when you were shooting with a smartphone as opposed to a camera is, and again, this is more aimed at the student photographer, the fact that you would probably rush.
Yeah, your photos will get this. There was an article about it where you're taking photos now on your phone, and when you go back to like your photo album on your phone and you've got like all these photos in a line, you're just losing photos. Do you know what I mean? You're like losing photos within other photos, and you've got there's no end point.
Yeah.
You can carry on taking photos. And so there is, you can not only rush, but you can sort of just move on from photos, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I think that that could be an issue for the fine art photographer. But then that being said, one of the reasons that I went to medium and large format in the end was because I was rushing my photography.
Oh, that was the same as me.
Yeah.
I got told that I take too many photos.
Yeah.
So
I spent 2 years shooting on medium and large format, and then the final project I shot on film and shot on digital, and I shot with my digital camera how I would shoot with a large format. Film.
Yeah, you'd sort of trained yourself to slow down.
I didn't consider taking a photo on my phone because as we discussed, there wasn't any reason for that to happen. No. But I'm sure that if I did take photos on my phone, then I would still get results. In fact, that's an interesting thing. I might do that. Next time I'm out shooting, I'm going to take photos on my phone. And I'm going to see. And if that... Because I'm intending on going out tomorrow, and it depends on how much of Luigi's Mansion I play tonight. If I get the podcast edited tonight, then you won't see them. But if the podcast is not edited tonight, and I go out shooting,
That would
then
be edited. Oh,
I'll
actually,
put them. In fact, I won't put them here, but I will put them at the end of the podcast. So that gives me
Right.
some leeway in editing and saves me an absolute ball ache if I don't end up getting them up. So yeah, stay till the end, and if there are photos, great, and if there aren't photos, then meh. And then that gives me the opportunity to show off some of my own footage as well. I think the only other thing to talk about is alternative processes. The cyanotypes, the collodions, the pinhole cameras, and how that falls into it as well. Because they are, by definition, not decent cameras.
Well, they're like homemade, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And they're very much limited by the technology that they use. You know, a great friend of both of ours, Stephen Raff, whose photos are here. But you know that he's up in the photography show.
Yeah, I know. I saw it on his Instagram.
So jealous.
Mental.
Anyway, and so he's a collodion shooter, and like the old Julia Margaret Cameron, good old JMC.
JMC.
He deliberately, has quite a rough around the edges approach to his photography. But I went out shooting with him in the field, and I was shooting on my Mimir RB67. Raf was shooting on I think it was a full plate. It might have been a half plate camera, and so I rock up with my RB in my bag with my tripod, and I'm like, the RB weighs like 5 kilograms, and I'm like, oh, it's so heavy. And he's there setting up his Eskimo tent in order to coat the plates, because you can't do that in light. The silver has to be dark, and all of that. And we have to set it up by running water, because you need a flowing water supply.
Water, yeah.
And so we were dumping, obviously not chemistry, but we were dumping water back into the river to pick it up. And then he goes and sets the camera up, and gets the composition. He's like, right, I've got the composition now. And he's like, right, I'm going to go and coat my plates. And I'm just sat there at the moment thinking, like, well, hang on a second. I'm done. I've shot a roll of film now. And he's there not even, like, preparing his first plate. Hang on, I'm going off and on again. There we are. So yeah, it was just absolutely crazy. And yeah, he's an absolutely fantastic dude. My point with that. Oh yeah.
Was that it's not about the rough around the edges.
Yeah. And that's not a feasible camera to work with. You wouldn't shoot a football match on a plate, would you?
Could you imagine?
Oh god, I dare not.
That'd be hilarious.
But Raf does what he does incredibly well. Have I told you about the little project Matt and I have got going on at Libstone at the moment?
Limpstone?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
The pinholes.
No.
Ah. Okay, so this is another fun little one that I'm doing. I am currently taking a photo right now. And actually, despite the fact that I'm in Cambridgeshire, I'm taking a photo down in Devon right now.
How is that possible?
I know. Well, I'm about to explain. So for those that don't know, Limpstone Manor is a Michelin star restaurant up in a little town called Exmouth. And they are, at the moment, they've just started their own vineyard, and this has been like a 3-4 year project that they've been doing. They're like halfway into it, and they're just, first just getting their first crops and stuff like that. And a photographer called Matt and I, who work quite closely together, decided that it would be a good idea to do pinhole cameras. So what we've done is we've got some photographic paper, put them in a beer can, made a tiny little pinprick in the hole, and put them up on the vineyard. And we're doing a year-long exposure.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. And they're going to come out.
Yeah.
But, again, it's that element of you're using a camera, and I would love to have my X Pro 2 out there doing a year-long exposure, in rain or shine, powering off. But I guarantee, even in a place like Limpstone Manor, it probably would have been stolen in about 4 years, or 4 seconds, sorry. So again, there's like this interesting element that how alternative processes still play quite a vital role in the different cameras and the different sort of elements and different aspects that we've got as well. Again, cyanotypes, and there are so many sort of professional cyanotypists out there. It really is quite incredible.
Yeah, because you look at you, as you say, the pictures aren't like JMC, and they don't look technically amazing, but if you've got to really think about what's gone into the picture, then you've got all that time, all that process, all that everything before even taking the damn photo, and then that's what makes the photo what it is, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very interesting thing, and I've always seen cameras as, I'm quite a sentimental person when it comes to cameras, and I've always seen them as these objects. They're quite prized possessions for me. They're some people turn around and say, "Oh, my camera's just a tool," and I'm like, okay, in that case, I'm going to chuck it in a lake and give you the money for a new one. I guarantee you'd still be upset.
Brutal.
But yeah,
you wouldn't do that though, because you're too sentimental about cameras.
Not other people's cameras.
would you check someone else's?
I'll tell you some stories about some of the things that we've done at work.
No.
Yeah, with people
off
podcast. Or maybe off podcast. Well, they can't fire me, can they?
No.
Yeah. And I think the cameras do definitely make a big difference to the overall project, and I think that's sort of, to answer the original question, which is having a decent camera important. I think it is very much yes and no. Putting aside the technical aspects, and we can talk until we're blue in the mouth about how the new Sony cameras have got super fast autofocusing and they're much better than anything else on the market, and if you want to have the lens range, you buy a Canon, and blah blah blah. Putting all of that aside, at the end of the day, the camera is going to be a tool which you are going to utilize in order to get decent results. And the word decent results is very much going to vary by your definition. If I wanted to go out and, shoot a football match, for example, I would get a camera which would allow me to do that to the best of my ability. The chances are that is going to be some kind of digital system with a massive long telephoto lens on the front.
Yeah.
Because shooting that on a wet plate collodion camera or a pinhole or a large format isn't going to work. But then the other aspect of that, and the other element of that, is when you're doing a project which isn't camera critical, shall we say, you need to use a camera that you enjoy. Because if you don't have a camera which you enjoy using, you're going to be discouraged from taking photos, and therefore you're not going to get a decent result. Because you're rushing your photos because you want to.
And also,
go
you want
home
to get over and done with.
Yeah, exactly. And for a lot of people, that will be a digital system.
So, tell you what, the brief answer, or not the brief answer, the sort of is pick a system that works for what you're working. So it works for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, pick a system that works for you. Go from there. You had something else to add, just to round us up to the hour, about rubbish, dustbins.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Check photographers.
An interesting article. I will check it now. So there's this. Here we go. So it's an article from gizmodo.com, and when doing research, I always tend to just Google the question.
What did you get in your dissertation, Jack?
I got a pass.
You got a pass. There you are.
Well, that's yeah, and I sort of just Googled the question, and I Googled photographer camera, I think, something like that. I came up with an article from Gizmodo, and the title of this article is "Czech photographers' cameras made from trash still capture pretty ladies just fine." And
well,
and it's this guy that it's a picture of it. I'll if you want, put it up on the screen, Ben. I'll send it over to you. But it's made from paper towels, tubes, threads, spools, rubber bands, and other bits of like rubbish that has been used since the 1950s.
Right.
And so the camera looks like shit, honestly. But
I mean, it's made out of literal trash.
Rubbish, yeah, it's literally made out of rubbish. But he's now, the work is sort of like Francesca Woodman-esque, sort of, you're blurry. I don't think it's sort of, oh, that was my camera turning off again. Oh well. But it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But it's
fine. It's my fault. I should have reminded you.
Oh, it's alright.
I was being sarcastic.
Oh right. Well.
Never mind.
Screw you then.
Francesca
But
Woodman.
no, yeah, it's sort of like your blurry women sort of deal, but I don't think it's like him. I don't think it's intentional. I think it is just the camera. But he's now got an exhibition. Well, I'd say now. I mean, in this article it mentions an exhibition in Paris. So it really doesn't matter, if the camera's literally made out of rubbish.
Yeah.
Here you go. He described his. I'm trying to find his name. What's his name? It's Miroslav Tichy, Tichy, and he says, this is a good quote to end on, actually. If you want to be famous, you have to do whatever you're doing worse than anyone else in the whole world.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't
argue with that.
I think that's so good. But no, it's literally made out of rubbish. And so, if that doesn't prove that you don't need a decent camera, then I don't know what does.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Do you want to be famous?
I think that's about our hour. Follow us on Instagram.
Sign off, yeah. Follow us on the Mediocre Photo.
Mediocre Photo. I'm Ben Bullman Photo.
And I'm at Jack Henderson Photo.
And you had a little sign-off phrase, didn't you? Because you got cross with me because I said bye as the last sign-off and you got a bit upset. And you sent it to me as a voice clip.
Oh, yeah.
But I listened to in the midst of moving house and didn't reply to.
Yeah. But so I wanna make a better outro, but maybe this is a discussion for off podcast. I want to make that sort of.
Say it now. Do you remember it?
Yeah, but it's a video. I thought we were going to play the actual video in editing.
No, just say it. Just say it. It's built up now. We have to.
No, but if we end it here and then we play it, then people will see us arguing and they'll go, "Oh, I wonder what it is," and then we'll play it at the end.
But what if
so
we're not allowed to play it?
Stop.